Thank you, Logan. I appreciate that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our November meeting of the Montana Board of Housing for the year 2025. We welcome you all. I will now turn it over to Cheryl for her announcements.
All right, so thanks everyone for joining our November board meeting. Just a few reminders before we get started. Please keep your audio on mute unless you're actively providing public comment. You can use the little microphone feature in the lower left-hand corner of your screen to mute and unmute. If you're joining by phone only, you'll need to use your phone features to mute or unmute and to raise an unraised hand. That's typically *6 to mute and unmute and *9 to raise hand or lower hand. You're welcome to use headphones as that can eliminate audio. Public questions or comments will be accepted by either typing into the chat in the webinar or unmuting or raising your hand and talking. If you're joining via conference call only, so just calling in rather than joining by video, if you could please send your name, title, company, and contact information to housing@mt.gov. Again, housing@mt.gov so we can capture your attendance for the meeting minutes. Please speak and spell your name, particularly your last name, slowly and your organization when you're providing comments so we can capture that for the meeting minutes. And with that, I'll turn it over to Chair Posey to introduce our board members.
Thank you very much, Cheryl. For introductions, I'll start. Bruce Posey, Board Chair, Billings, Montana. Sheila.
Sheila Rice, Board Vice Chair, Great Falls, Montana.
Amber.
Amber Parrish, Board Secretary, Billings, Montana.
Jeanette.
Jeanette McKee, Board Member, Hamilton.
Richard, are you on yet? Okay. Rachel.
Morning, I'm Rachel Arthur. I am in Great Falls.
And Ryan.
Ryan Aiken, Board Member, Missoula.
Thank you very much. Cheryl, back to you for the board staff.
All right, so I'll go ahead and introduce the staff on the call. I'm Cheryl Cohen. I'm the Executive Director of the board, and I'm just going to read off the staff members as I see them on the screen. We have Jessica Michael, Homeownership Program Manager, Vicki Bauer, Accounting and Finance Manager, Joe DeFilippis, Operations Manager, Logan Kohlberg, Executive Assistant, Julie Flynn, Community Housing Programs Manager, Jason Hansen, Multifamily Programs Manager, Bruce Brenstall with the Multifamily Development Team, Charlie Brown with the Homeownership Team, Kelly Garigula with the Multifamily Team, Brian Barnes with the Multifamily Team, and Danielle Bauer with the Servicing Teams. And I believe I captured all of the board staff, and then I'll also mention Nathan Bilyeu, General Counsel to the board. I can turn it over to Joe to read through the public attendees on today's call.
Sounds good. We have, let's see here. Austin Richardson, Don Sturhan, Larry Phillips, Lorna Fogg, Misty Dalkey, let's see, Tyler Currents, and I believe that is all of them. Did I miss anyone from the public? All right, Cheryl or Mr. Chair, that's it.
Joe, thank you. Cheryl, thank you. Now would be the time for any public comment on any matter that is not on this agenda, but is within the jurisdiction of this agency. Do we have any public comment?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. Hearing none, then let's move on to the minutes of the October 21st, 2025 board meeting. They were in your packet. Are there any board discussions and or questions regarding these minutes? And Joe, thank you for your comments earlier relative to being able to tell who first and seconds. Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Are there any public comments or questions regarding these minutes? They, of course, have been posted on the website for the public to see.
Chair Posey, I did just want to add for board members' awareness that for the public comments we received about the Pintler Pines project after we published the board packet, as well as some of the in-person materials that we received in Havre, board staff has put together all of those late submission and in-person submission materials, and they have been posted to our website for any member of the public that wishes to view those additional comments.
Thank you. That is appreciated. Well, hearing none, may I have a motion and a second for approval.
This is Sheila. I move for approval.
Thank you, Sheila. May I have a second?
This
This
is
is
Jeanette, I
Rachel.
second.
Oh, sorry,
Rachel,
Jeanette.
go ahead. Go ahead and take Rachel. That's fine.
Thank you, Rachel. It's
Yeah.
been moved and seconded for approval of the October 21st, 2025 minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to the finance program and Vicky.
Good morning. Accounting staff are currently working through the fiscal year 25 audit. We're answering questions and providing documentation to the auditors. With the shift of our business process from whole loans to MBS in fiscal year 25, the auditors need to analyze and understand the new processes. But hopefully the audit will be completed soon. The 2025 bond issue that was closed on August 28th has been fully reserved, and we have been discussing the strategy of our next bond issue with the finance team. Due to the typical slowdown in production and MBOH having the financial resources to bridge the next issue, we've decided to wait to issue bonds until after the new year. The next issue will be 2026A. This gives us more time to fill the pipeline and see how the slower months of fall and winter do in terms of reservations before pricing in January. And typically January has a lower supply in terms of bond pricing, so there's often good investor interest for new bond issues. On December 1st, we will make debt service payments and bond call payments with prepayments. The total to be paid to the bondholders on December 1st across the three indentures is $38.6 million, and the bonds outstanding after the December 1st payments will be $731.8 million. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Vicky. Do we have any questions and or comments from the board regarding Vicky's report? Do we have any public comments and or questions regarding Vicky's report?
Seeing none, Chair.
Hearing none, Vicky, you got off early today.
Thank
Got
you.
off easy. Thank you very much. Let's now move on to the homeownership program and Jessica.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Nice to see you all. My first agenda item is requesting revisions to the reverse annuity mortgage program, or RAM program, raising that maximum loan amount. Since the inception of the reverse annuity program, 251 loans totaling over $16.5 million have supported Montana seniors for over 68 years of age to remain in their homes. RAM loan recipients have benefited from the monthly payments to supplement their income, as well as pay off debts and make updates to their homes. As of September 30th, 2025, the RAM program has a total cash value of a little over $5.8 million. And the current amount of pledged and active loans is a little over $1.1 million. Active loans that have been approved and are currently receiving payments. This leaves a total available balance of $4,724,165.36 remaining to lend to qualified borrowers. However, the board does need to retain some level of funds to front monies for property taxes and insurance for RAM recipients who have achieved all monthly payments, but due to lack of sufficient resources to pay these costs. Currently, the maximum RAM loan amount is $150,000. The maximum a borrower could draw at the time of closing with an exception approval for going over the maximum initial draw is $124,512. These funds can be used for anything from paying off the borrower's current mortgage as well as covering the closing costs. Maintaining the maximum RAM loan amount at $150,000 would equate to serving 31 to 32 more borrowers. However, taking our available funds to lend and dividing it by $250,000 would equate to the board's ability to lend to approximately 18 or 19 more borrowers. This would be a possible initial draw with an exception approval for going over the maximum initial draw of $201,470.40. MBOH staff requests that the board raise the maximum RAM amount from $150,000 to $250,000. Although this increase would reduce the number of borrowers the program could assist by 12 to 13, increasing the maximum loan amount could allow for the program to potentially assist borrowers who have increased needs to pay off their remaining mortgage, make up to dates to their homes, pay off other debt, or a myriad of other beneficial and stabilizing uses. Administrative rules give the board the authority to set and change the maximum dollar amount of the RAM loan. And below there, we have the administrative rules 8.111405 that specifically states a loan may not exceed 80% of the appraised value of the property. The board will set a maximum dollar amount of which may be changed by the board. The minimum dollar amount of the loan is $15,000. And again, my proposal is the staff is asking the board's approval to increase the maximum dollar amount of a RAM loan from $150,000 to $250,000 with a December 1st, 2025 effective date for new applications only. This would not include any current RAM loans refinancing to get the other $100,000. It would just be for new applicants only.
Thank you very much, Jessica. This is a discussion that we had, of course, at our meeting back in October. Are there any board questions and or discussions relative to this proposal?
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeanette. Jessica, what kind of action are you seeing currently today in the market with for people interested in RAM loans? What kind of activity?
We only have one in the I don't know. I want to say in the hopper, but that's not what we only have one currently. So it hasn't been a lot of action. We did see it accelerate quite a bit after our last marketing campaign, but that seems to have kind of slowed down.
So I guess what you're saying is that taking 12 or 13 away, if based on the increase, is perhaps not significant for us not to consider this.
Yes, correct.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm just trying to look at maybe somebody that needs a little bit more money to pay off their mortgage so that they can turn that into income.
I think you're going the right direction.
Bruce, I just like to thank Jessica for her and her staff effort on this. I think it's a good proposal, and we haven't changed that amount for quite a while. So I think it's catching up with the price of mortgages and the price of housing.
Other board discussion or questions? These comments were wonderful. Thank you. Do we have any public comments or questions regarding this proposal?
Chair Posey, I just wanted to note that board member Richard Miltenberger did join a little bit ago, so we do have a full board on today's call.
Thank you. Well, hearing none, may I have a motion for approval to increase the maximum dollar amount of the RAM loan from $150,000 to $250,000 effective the 1st of December?
This is Sheila. I would move approval.
Thank you, Sheila. May I have a second? Ryan, thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we increase the RAM dollar amount from $150,000 to $250,000. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay.
Thank you to the board. My next agenda item is one that's kind of fun for me, is the definition of maintaining an office. We've had some back and forth with some lenders, and so that's where this is coming from. Administrative Rules of Montana 8.111.305 states a public or private entity applicant maintaining an office in the state of and authorized by law to make or participate in making new residential mortgage loans may apply in writing for designation as an approved lender for board programs. The board's staff have had several potential participating lenders inquire about what exactly maintaining an office means. Board staff have consulted with other HFAs and Nathan Bilyeu, General Counsel. Based on our understanding of best practices across the country and legal advice, the board staff proposes the following policy for board approval. Participating lenders must maintain a brick and mortar office building or buildings in the state of Montana. The office must be open to the general public and have the physical presence of a knowledgeable mortgage professional in the brick and mortar building a minimum of 32 hours a week, with said 32 hours generally occurring Monday through Saturday between 8 a.m. and 5:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, other than on holidays recognized by the U.S. federal government or the state of Montana. Participating lenders can maintain flexibility in business hours of operations within these general parameters. Pardon me. Business hours of operation must be clearly displayed for customers at the office locations. Board staff further propose that this policy be incorporated in the next revision of the board's mortgage purchase and servicing guide, and staff requests the board approval of the above policy language.
Jessica, thank you. And also thank you for the work you've done and the rest of the board has done on this issue, rest of the staff. Are there any board questions and or comments regarding this?
Yeah, Jessica, this is Jeanette. Are there any current participating lenders that this would affect?
There is one, and just as soon as we put this forth, I know Charlie's on the line. Miraculously, this participating lender came up with a 32-hour a week employee to put in said office.
Thank you.
Other than that, it doesn't affect anybody else. Everybody else has been, I think we've had two lenders come back and say, well, what if we fly in, or what if we, have an office in Oklahoma, for example, and an office there, and we split our time. So we're just trying to quantify what the board means by maintaining an office. It seems to be up for
Thank you.
discussion.
I think it's really good to get clarity on it, and I really strongly believe in local participation, even though it's one office in Montana. If you can call a 406 number, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Do we have other board questions or comments? From my standpoint, I think this is extremely important. You have to be able to walk in and see somebody when you have a problem. It's even more important now, I believe, that we have moved the servicing. Much of our servicing now is headed out of state. And so our people in Montana need to know that we're still here for them. So I think it's a great proposal, and it's well written and well done. Any other board comments or questions? Do we have any public comments or questions?
Seeing none.
Well, hearing none. Joe, was it none?
You are correct, sir.
Okay, sorry to cut you off. Hearing none, may I have a motion for approval of this proposal Jessica has made for what we consider a brick and mortar operation in the state of Montana?
This is Amber. I'll move.
Thank you, Amber. May I have,
This is Sheila, I'll second.
thank you. It's been moved and seconded for approval of this proposal and putting it into incorporating into our next revision of our board's mortgage purchase and servicing guide. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Pose same sign. Motion carries. Back to you, Jessica.
And onto my dashboard. Not too much to report, although we did discuss last month at the last board meeting about changing the portfolio summary, which is on page 2. You'll notice that the numbers came down probably about 417 loans less. You see where it says September 2025 portfolio balance 5,690. That did come down, like I said, about 417 loans, because now I'm only reporting what's in our portfolio, not what's going to Idaho. So that's why that number changed. We've done over 770 first and second mortgages so far in the year. And if we want to go back up to page 1, sorry, loans purchased by Idaho, those are always going to be about a month behind. They're coming up with a new dashboard, which I'm hoping will enhance my dashboard in turn. And they're still working on getting the access to that and putting the finishing touches on their dashboard for us. That's about all I have. There's the one RAM loan, like I talked about. Delinquencies are still ticking up there, but that's more of a servicing thing. But if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Does the board have any questions and or discussions for Jessica regarding her dashboard report? I just have one question, Jessica. On the product we're shipping over to Idaho at this point, is Idaho having any issues with the quality?
They aren't saying they have any issues at all. They think our lenders are fantastic.
Okay, very good. Any other questions for Jessica from the board? Do we have any public comments or questions for Jessica regarding her dashboard or any other of her reports so far?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. Well, that being the case, Jessica, thank you very much. We appreciate it. And let's
Thank
move
you.
on to the mortgage servicing program, and Cheryl will be handling this.
Thank you, Chair. So these are numbers that are effective as of the end of October. Our total loans in our portfolio did decrease by about, looks like 43 loans from 6,063 to 6,020. About 5,300, nearly 5,400 of those are Board of Housing loans. I neglected to make the adjustment here, but where it says BOI loans, those are the veterans, primarily the Veterans Home Loan Program loans that we have assigned to MBOH. So we'll make sure that we get that cleaned up on next month's dashboard. And then we have 18 multifamily loans as well, and 339 homeowner assistance funds. About 701.2 million principal for all loans and 7.8 in escrow, and about 867,000 in lost draft. The number of loans 60 days plus delinquent has remained the same from September to October, and actual foreclosure sales, we have one scheduled for this month. We have a total of 7 foreclosures thus far this calendar year. Do note that delinquent contacts to make did creep up a bit this month from last month to 682, but is still down from 755 from October of 2024. We had a little over 1,000 late fees and about 35,000 in late fee revenue, with 36 loans paying off and just 1 new loan boarded. Logan, if you want to scroll down just a little bit. So here you'll see in the middle, the June through September Q3 2025 score unfortunately went down from tier 3 to tier 4, and it's now at just under 56%. Logan, if you go down to the very footer at the bottom of this page, I included the note that our SFDMS score increased from 32% to 54% in Q3. So that performance is looking a little better. Our loss mitigation efforts, one of the other criteria within this report, increased from 47 to 66%. The main thing that brought our score down was redefault scores decreasing from 91 to 15, which was really astronomical. We had a call with DLS Consulting to talk through some of the issues we're seeing with our tier score and FHA reporting. And we decided internally that we're going to be manually entering their reports rather than using the EDI file for the duration of this calendar year to try to improve that score. Our quality control specialist is also digging in a little bit on the redefaults and how FHA scores those. But this is an area where if they redefault, there's not a whole lot that we can do. A redefault is a redefault, but it's still disappointing to see our score drop to a tier 4. So it's something the team is really focused on, and we'll be working to make those improvements over the next couple of months. Because like Chair Posey said last month, we certainly aren't keen about an FHA audit, but this really opens us to expose for that potential. So for loss mitigation for this month, we have 5 active financial packets and 26 partial claims. There are 5 Chapter 13 bankruptcies, 7 portfolio preservation properties, and 1 real estate owned. And then for the foreclosures initiated, Billings continues to be the highest area at 7, with Great Falls and Havre at 2 in each of those cities. And of the foreclosures scheduled, 8 of those are FHA, which makes sense because that's the predominant nature of our portfolio, and then 4 are USDA RD. And I'm available if you guys have any questions.
Are there any board questions for Cheryl regarding the servicing report?
Just want to say that I appreciate the proactiveness of the staff to attack that tier 4 rating and figure out how to make it better. So thanks for your efforts there.
Yep.
Yes.
Other board questions or comments? I have one comment, and the fact that the redefaults came about was inevitable. We had all these programs to assist people in keeping them in their homes. And this, to me, was we kicked the can down the road many times. That was just part of the deal. And so to have redefaults go up, it doesn't surprise me at all. It's part of what was bound to happen. So I don't think that has anything to do with our staff. I don't think it has anything to do with quality of our servicing. I think it just has to do with the programs that we happen to be having to deal with. Okay, having said
I
that,
appreciate those comments, Chair Posey. I'll relay those to the staff. Yeah, it's still something that we, clearly want to score that it better reflects what we hope our performance is, and so we'll be working. It is going to be a lot of work, and I do want to thank Michelle Todd in particular in our servicing that is now doing the manual enter for these reports for the next couple of months, which is extraordinarily tedious and time consuming. And it was really tremendous that she, in reviewing the reporting and the EDI file, she came and made that recommendation to leadership that, hey, let me just do it manually for the next 3 months and see what I can do to get it improved. So that's the type of team members that we have, and that's really a fantastic thing to see.
thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I just had a question. So redefaults are also shown up above in loss mitigation, is that correct? They're just kind of buried in there, right? I was just wondering what the real number of redefaults was. Don't have to give it to me now, but it might just be a helpful number.
Okay, I will make a note and see what we can put together for the December dashboard. So real number of redefaults.
And if it's a lot of trouble, don't bother, because we're going to fix it anyway.
All right, thank you, Sheila.
Are there any other comments or questions for Cheryl from the board? Do we have any public comments or questions for Cheryl regarding the servicing report?
None seen, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. That being the case, Cheryl, thank you very much. And we'll move to Jason and the multifamily program.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Just a little background. Every state housing credit allocating agency is required by Section 42 to have a qualified allocation plan. The QAP is the rule book for the housing credit program and acts as a standard for our other loan programs. We reviewed changes back about 3 weeks ago on October 20th. Public hearing was held on October 20th, and public comment period was held from September 22nd to October 24th. Staff requests the board approval of the 2027 qualified allocation plan. Since our meeting 3 weeks ago, there's been 2 minor changes we've made. If we can go down right there. applications before, we were putting them in the pipeline when they came in at pre-application, which used to be called LOI. Now they will be placed in the pipeline when we receive a bond resolution approval from the board. The bond resolution will be scheduled on the board agenda considering the planned bond closing date. We have been running into, we've had applications year and a half out. People just want to get in their place in line. So the official pipeline date will be the bond resolution approval by the board. Any questions on that?
Do we have any board comments or questions regarding the 2027 QAP? As you all aware, we've had numerous discussions over the summer with stakeholders as well as board members regarding this, as well as, of course, as Jason pointed out in our October meeting. Any questions?
And I did have one other update as well, Mr. Chair.
Go ahead.
Okay, if you want to go down to the next page, and it should say page 65, right at the bottom, keep going, right there. We are taking the project reserve, we're adding language in there, so project reserves won't be counted towards total cost per unit calculations. It's not really a cost of the project, it's just the reserves that we require them to have.
Okay, thank you. Any board comments or questions regarding the 2027 QAP?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
So Jason, I noted on Housing Solutions letter that was attached at the bottom of the QAP that kind of a interesting idea about how we're allocating. So today we're saying, and correct me whenever I go wrong here, but that we have 25% of the total credit allocation is the maximum for any one project. And so as I read Housing Solutions letter, that means that the next round, because we get the 12% extra that's coming through Congress, we hope, it'll be 9.6 million would be the maximum allocation. Whereas if we said, well, why don't we do 20% as a maximum, then it would be 7.7, but we would get 5 projects. So I'm always interested in how do we fund more projects. And I just wanted to kind of ask about that, what the staff feeling is. I think a year or two ago, we were at 6.5 million was our maximum. And under this letter, if it's correct that we do get the 12%, we're jumping $3 million in just a few years for the maximum credit. That could mean more units, but I tend to go for more projects so we can spread our geographic diversity. Just wanted to hear what staff thought about that.
Sure. Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes, go ahead, Jason.
So we're keeping the 8.5 million again this coming year, so we're not bumping it up. And we did get 5 projects. So so Kalispell, I was going to update Kalispell, Outpost and Kalispell accepted that $8.3 million instead of the 8.5. So all of our credits are out, and we did get 5 projects. And we did go from last, remember, 6.5 to this year's 8.5, just because we've seen the economies of scale dropping so much, we were getting less and less units per deal. So that's why we bumped it up to 8.5. So yeah, we were able to get 5 projects this year.
Okay, and we're even more likely to get 5 projects next year with some left over at the 8.5.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to discuss that. I really appreciate the help and want to thank Housing Solutions for bringing that to the front of my mind. On the second letter, I wanted to just ask about the page 40 rehab, the page numbers aren't right, but because they're using a different copy. But the rehabilitation hard cost minimum, and this letter writer, which is Lincoln Avenue Communities, suggests that it's too high for a number of reasons. And I just wanted to ask about those. Most of them are related to other loans they might get to help with rehab costs. Comments about that from the staff?
Sure, Mr. Chair, if I could.
Absolutely, Jason.
So we were at, I believe it was 40 or 45,000 before per unit on hard costs, and we did bump that up to $50,000 per unit for hard costs because all expenses were going up. If we haven't had any other suggestions on $50,000 being too high, and we just want to make sure that there was substantial reasons to rehab a project, and if they're getting a allocation, we want to make sure that yes, that was justifiable, that there was enough getting rehabbed in that project.
Okay, so I think we'll just take a look at maybe all the things that that Lincoln Avenue talked about maybe in the next round, but I just wanted to get a better feel for that. I understand what you're saying and I appreciate it. I'm happy with the way it says stated today.
Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Sheila. Thank you, Jason. Do we
Mr. Chair,
have?
Bruce Brenzel looks like he had a comment, if that's okay.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Bruce.
Thank you. Sheila, just another clarification. There is also language in that section that says, as an example, if you were to be purchasing a newer project that didn't maybe need as much rehab, that we are allowed to look at an exception for those, if you're trying to get those into affordability. So we felt that there was also some flexibility there that could address most of the issues they brought up.
Thank you.
Other questions and or comments? These comments by you, Sheila, the questions, the explanation by Jason, these are all, and Bruce as well, are all very important.
Yes.
I think everyone here knows how important I think the LIHTC program is. Not only this board, but what we do for the state of Montana to get people in housing. So thank you very much. Thank you also for everyone who participated in the QAP meetings. That is not only the board and staff, but also the developers as well. Thank you very much.
Can I add just one, Bruce?
Go ahead, Sheila.
So Lincoln Avenue also talked about the developer fee, and I think that deserves discussion in the next round. I was actually headed in the opposite direction. I was thinking as these projects got bigger, especially the combined projects and the real dollars of the developer fee got higher, that we should look at lowering it. So I think it'd be a great discussion to have in the next round, and I know it'll be there.
I'm sure it will be. Any other comments or questions? Do we have any public comments or questions regarding the 2027 QAP?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. That being the case, may I have a motion and a second for approval of the 2027 QAP as presented?
This is
I would
Jeanette.
so move. Oh, go ahead, Jeanette.
And I'll second. This is Jeanette, I'll second.
Who first? Was that you, Richard?
Richard
Yes.
did.
Okay, very good. We have a first and a second for approval. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, Jason, back to you and your update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As you will see in the buckets of money, they've actually increased quite a bit, and we will be changing then these, so it won't say cold trust come December, multifamily, we're going to have the Go Trust accounts and so forth, but ARMS was still in play at the time when these were made up a couple weeks ago. So these buckets will change on what their titles are for next month. So right now on the Cold Trust side, there's $13 million in there, and this is due to Casa Loma and Open Glow 2 rescinding their loan approvals, and they're going in other directions. So we have a pot of money there, and we also had some payoffs come in when we did Montana 6, the bond closing. So the multifamily loans program has about $3 million in there, and the Housing Montana Fund has about $1.6 million in the buckets. So we're looking at when we do the competitive round in the spring, that's when we would be allocating these funds at the same time. So we're making plans for that, and as soon as we can, hopefully maybe the December meeting, we will go through those plans then. And we're also having a housing coordinating team call in December, and that will actually go over the loan process as well. And the other thing at the bottom of that page is our quarterly report updates. AH and A2, they're currently delayed due to surveyor issues, and just wanted to update. We actually did get on a call with them last week, and went over some of these things. The construction should start December 1st, as soon as the surveyor has their work done. Contracts have been signed, so the credit refresh implementation schedule showed a closing date of June 26th. And now the estimated closing date is December of 2026. Gold Spur at Urban Farms, the closing estimated date is June 2026. This delay is driven by a final plot on the master plan site. The original completion date was May of 2027. It is now April of 2028. Opportunity Place, the project incurred small delays waiting for state and local approval for the condominium declarations in the final stage of pre-construction. The original completion date was April of 2026 and is now August of 2026. So just a little pushback there. And Homestead also, project was delayed several months due to lengthy value engineering process to lower costs. Funding gap was filled with a sponsor loan. Original completion date was April 2026 and it is now September of 2026. And that is my report.
Do we have any questions or discussions for Jason regarding his report?
Jason, when I look at the top and I see the larger amount in the Coltrust multifamily homes program, are the interest rates roughly the same on each of these? And the difference is that Coltrust requires payment of real estate taxes?
Correct. So Coltrust requires payment of real estate taxes, and it also has to be in first position. It can't be in second position.
Okay, just something to look at for the my gosh, is it the 27 legislature already? We be talking about to see if we want to, not we being the board, but the development community wants to see if there's any changes in that. But, you know, with this next round, it might get used up. Who knows? Thank you.
Do we have other board questions and or comments? Jason, thank you for the updates. I find, from my standpoint, I find them very useful. Anything else from the board? Do we have any public comments or questions at this point? Or Jason?
Seeing none.
Morning.
Oh, we got one. Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick question. Tyler with Housing Solutions. Jason, I don't know, are you allowed to share why that Coltrust money is coming back? Is the first position? Is that part of the issue there? Or
No.
I don't know if you're allowed to say or not.
No, projects are going completely in a different direction. So it actually had nothing to do with the terms on the Coltrust.
Okay. I was just curious.
Any other public comments or questions?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Okay, thank you, Joe. Hearing none. Jason, thank you very much. It's now time for the operations and executive director, and I assume, Joe, you'll be starting.
I think I'll go ahead and take these
Okay.
first two. So we did want to close the loop with our House Bill 924. So this is the new Montana Growth and Opportunity Trust with the Montana Housing Trust, or we call it the Go Housing Fund underneath. The rulemaking comment and hearing are now complete, and an adoption notice of the rules was published last Friday. We did include in the board packet a summary of comments submitted and our board's written responses to those comments. The first commenter discussed preferences and concerns around universal design, visibility, and the accessibility of any housing stock that we fund with this program. And certainly that makes sense to us. We responded that similar to our loan programs and how we've operated historically, we align with the accessibility design requirements that are outlined within the QAP, which we did update several years ago to include that robust accessibility requirements. We also concurred with the commenter talking about coordination of these monies with other existing programs. So I'll let the board read our response there. Go ahead and keep scrolling down. One of the comments, oh, sorry, go back up just a little bit more, Logan, to the end of that bottom page. So one of the comments was around assisting households with higher incomes, so they're not displaced. This commenter mentioned a concern that if we were financing projects that were already in existence for, say, a substantial rehab, that if we include affordability restrictions that are, more that are at a deeper income targeting than a current household living there, it can have a displacement effect. And so we responded that because the program allows up to 75 of units at 95 of median income, that gives us some wiggle room. So we wouldn't impact having any negative impact or displacement of current households and projects funded. And go ahead and scroll down to the second comment. And this was a combined letter submitted by the Montana Housing Coalition. They were supportive of all of the comments, noting the ability for us to provide additional housing for a lower income workforce, and also to leverage additional federal monies, including the 4% housing credit with the tax exempt bonds. And then finally, in this comment, they noted a reference in 8111506-4, where we referenced eligible uses A and C, and they should have been B and E. So this was an error on our end where we had intended to have these long-term regulatory requirements apply to the construction or acquisition rehab of housing, rather than short-term regulatory requirements for uses B and C, which are around land acquisition, land banking, or bridge financing, which is a different shorter-term financing type. So those have been accepted, and you can go ahead and keep scrolling down to the end, Logan. And so with our 30 days of public comment complete and our responses to the public comments submitted and the adoption of the rules, we are now seeking the board's approval of the final rules, which are included in the board packet, so we can proceed with the program.
Thank you, Cheryl. Are there any board questions and or comments for Cheryl regarding House Bill 924, the administrative rules?
I just want to go on record once again, thanking Cheryl and her staff for the extra effort. NeighborWorks just completed its first CRO home loan with this is the House Bill 819 from the prior session. And all of this has just been a lot of effort. It's everything we've doing. And then on top of it, we've got these other things to look at. So yahoo to the staff, allocates to the highest, because this has been a lot of effort and we got there.
Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Sheila. Other board comments or questions? Do we have any public comments or questions regarding these administrative rules?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
Thank you very much, Joe. That being the case, may I have a motion in a second for approval of the administrative rules as presented for House Bill 924?
This is Rachel. I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Rachel. May I have a second?
With great pleasure, this is Sheila. I am going to second this motion. This is the first real funding for housing that we've really gotten in forever. So yahoo, again, double yahoos.
Thank you, Sheila. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Back to you, Cheryl.
All right, so the next agenda item is seeking the board's approval for the 2026 Montana Board of Housing meeting and training calendar. The calendar is included on this next page here. I did want to note one item. We had discussed having our October board meetings in Livingston. Since we published this board packet, we've looked into options in Livingston, and they are a little bit cost prohibitive. So Logan is looking at options in Big Timber or Fort Fort Benton. And so if board members have any strong desires either way about location for the October board meeting, currently Big Timber and Fort Benton are on the potential list. Do let us know. The other oddities is that the March meeting is in bold the 16th because that's actually the third Monday of the month rather than the second Monday. And that's to accommodate the dates for the NCSHA LegCon, which are the week prior in DC. And then the Monday, November 16th board meeting is also in bold as that is the third Monday rather than the second Monday. And that's just to give us a little bit more time since the October board meetings are slightly later. The turnaround time for board staff to put together the packet right after closing out the prior meeting is a little bit jammed. And so we just ask to have that flexibility there.
Are there any questions or comments for Cheryl regarding the schedule of the board meetings?
Just regarding your choices versus Livingston, I would weigh heavily on Fort Benton. Great place.
Okay.
I would second that.
Okay.
Fort Benton being the first rural town in Montana. I think that'd be a great spot for us to go.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're seeking board approval of this calendar, and then we will get all of the Zoom meetings scheduled, all of the e-calendar notifications for open meeting laws, and meeting invites out to all of you guys for the duration of the 2026 calendar year.
So any other board questions or comments? Any public questions or comments?
Seeing none.
Well, may I have, yes, none? Thank
Seeing
you,
none.
Joe.
You are
May I have a motion for approval of the calendar as presented? And a second, please.
This is Jeanette. I'll move approval of this board meeting as presented.
Thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Richard. It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Cheryl, back to you.
I'll go ahead and turn over the first part of the dashboard to Joe, and then I'll close us out to end the meeting. Go ahead, Joe.
Sounds good. Thank you, Cheryl. The next board meeting, I believe we do have to have that on Monday, December 8th via Zoom. Is that correct? Yes. So we are doing that. Board member opportunities again, the NCSHA LegCon, which is March 9th through 11th in DC there. So please, board members, if you would like to go, contact Cheryl Cohen and Logan Kohlberg if you're interested in attending LegCon. I know Bruce had said this prior, but this is an important one, and it's good to meet the delegates out there, meet other folks out there to, kind of network brainstorm, look at the new laws coming out, and proposals as well too. Contracts and procurement, Logan, if you want to just go down a little bit there. We did the outside legal counsel with Jackson, Murdo, and Grant. That's with Nathan Bilyeu. We had to increase that total contract value based on estimated increases in legal work, basically to try to implement the new HB 924 program. That was executed there on October 24th. And then our emphasis contract, that's used by our accounting folks, home ownership, servicing. It's kind of an enterprise software. And with multifamily as well too. That's being reviewed for final contract renewal, which is due by the end of December. So hoping to get that one wrapped up. Personnel, as you all know, Kylie Hughes had vacated her position, and we bring aboard Caitlin Torgerson as the new administrative assistant to the operations team. She is from Helena. She graduated from the University of Montana, the Grizzlies, which, I guess we had to hire her since I'm a Bobcat fan. So she's been working at Wells Fargo for the last couple of years. She's a great addition to our team up front there. And then Jesse Ennis has accepted the position of the mortgage servicing program manager, and he will assume his new role on Monday, November 17th, which is next week. Jesse's worked under Jason in the multifamily development team since April of last year. In addition, Jesse has worked as a realtor since 2019. He's got considerable management experience, including 11 years as store manager at Walgreens and as a land development director. So welcome aboard to Jesse. And I think that's going to wrap my portion up. So if anyone has any questions for me about the previous few bullet points, speak now. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Joe from the board and or from the public?
Thank
Just
you.
keep
That was
hiring
my-
the Grizzlies. It's fine.
Yeah, I will.
Stop it.
Thank you, Bruce.
Okay, Cheryl, on to you.
All right. So Jesse's on this call as well, but we're really excited to have Jesse part as the executive leadership team. I think he'll be a very calm, collected presence for the servicing staff and be able to lead them through a lot of transitions that we have as we've moved toward this new master servicer model with Idaho. So was very pleased that he accepted the position. For my updates, we met with Department of Revenue and Department of Admin on November 5th to discuss some loose ends. And this is all kind of behind the scenes of how monies are classified on the state's ACFR, the state's financial statements. So we won't get too into the weeds other than because these monies are Department of Revenue, these will not be on our financial statements. So this is the HB 924 monies. We are responsible to administer the programs and to reconcile the programs within the Montana Housing Trust or the Go Housing account. But we don't hold the monies and we don't report them on our financial statements. We do have a draft timeline going for a competitive spring application round, and we'll be sharing that with the public once it's been fully vetted and finalized. I'm hoping we'll have that at the December board meeting as well. And at the December board meeting, we'll also be bringing a variety of policy proposals and agenda items to the board for your review and approval. This will include setting interest rates for the programs, and then just kind of talking through our approach with how these loans are received under the application process, reviewed by staff, and then presented to the board for the board's approval. If you want to go down just a little bit more, Logan. So a couple of things we wanted to at least bring to your guys' attention now, and we can discuss a little bit here and then more in December. But we wanted to see board's thoughts on do you want us, as we have done currently for the prior Coal Trust Multifamily Homes program, as well as our multifamily loan program, we've brought those loans to the board individually one at a time. We can, of course, do that. We could also consider the staff underwriting and making a recommendation to the board for a slate of loans to approve. So I'm open to discussion on that. What we're thinking is that we're going to see a wide variety of applicant types and projects proposed. And it is going to be a little bit tricky to, say, well, this, single family home ownership project to build 4 single family homes is going to look a lot different from a proposal for gap financing that will help support a 200 unit LIHTC development. So we want to just make sure that we're getting good board input on what you guys would like us to see and how you guys want us to approach presenting these loans after they're done with staff underwriting to the board for your review and approval. So the second bullet here is staff have discussed a little bit, and we'd like to be able to retain the ability to work with developers, including scheduling pre-application meetings in the month of January, as well as kind of post-application submission meetings to identify what source and amount of funds would be the most practicable for the proposed project. So we know with the Coal Trust monies, the 13 or so million that we have in there, the first lien position and subject to payment of property taxes still applies to that program. So we suspect it likely that a lot of applicants will want the new, more flexible Go Housing Montana Housing Fund monies as opposed to the Coal Trust monies with those provisions. But we'd like to have the ability to work with the developers to say, well, based on your specifics of your program and project design, could you make this fund source work, or do you really need X fund source instead? So just looking for some responses from board members either today or in December on how you would like us as staff to approach those items. And then finally, just a heads up that our last officer elections were held in August of 2023. I did reach out to our current board officers, Chair Posey, Vice Chair Rice, and Secretary Amber Parrish. It sounds like you guys are flexible with continuing in your current positions. Ms. Rice is welcome to another individual who may be interested in being vice chair. So we could hold elections in December or January if board members would be interested in doing that. And I'm happy to answer any questions, or we can chat a little bit more about approach to House Bill 924 loan approvals.
Thank you, Cheryl. Are there any board questions or comments for Cheryl at this time?
Chairman Posey, I wanted to talk about the loan approvals and the individual versus the slate. I think I'm in favor of individuals for a little while, but eventually a slate. And perhaps it would be more than one slate, like we could have, okay, these are all 4% loans that, you know, are kind of the same genre, but this is a different one, and we look at them separately. But, so that would be my initial, I think it would be a lot easier on the staff and the board if we did them as a slate, but I want to be a little cautious about that. And then secondly, I think the bullet point about the staff working with the developers one-on-one is fantastic. I think it will really help encourage more developers to come forward and ask for some of the alternative funding sources that we now have. And I'd like to see that happen. I worry about the staff resources. I guess you say to the maximum efficient use of resources, but that's the money resources. I'm just worried about the staff resources. So Cheryl, you might want to respond to that, and then maybe it's easier in the long run.
Yeah, I think resources are a challenge. So within the multifamily allocation team, you have Jason obviously is the manager, and he underwrites projects as well. Bruce Brensdahl is a half a FTE position. Carrie Garigula works full time. And then Jesse Ennis was in another half-time position, but he's moving over to servicing. So we will be hiring for Jesse's position. And the question is whether, you know, we need additional resources to, you know, launch this major new fund source and program. Sure, that would be nice. We will probably need to make do with what we have presently. And we're also looking at, you know, what are our needs on the allocation and underwriting side versus the compliance side of the aisle. So with the significant increase in our 4% tax exempt bond pipeline, that's a lot more inspections for Ryan Culver and the compliance team to monitor. They've done a really good job so far, but there's going to be a lot, and they've been out on the road for many months this year. So we'll have to discuss as a staff if we want to make a request to the budget office for an additional, say, modified or a temporary FTE, where's the kind of best and highest use for that additional FTE. And even if we make a request, we may or may not hear back. So we're going to have to get creative with the resources that we have. And you know, one of the things we'll talk about next month, we'll go through and bring a whole kind of multifamily loan program guidelines document that kind of talks through all of the different programs that the board multifamily team has. We didn't include in ARMS a minimum loan amount for the House Bill 924 program, but it's something we've discussed a little bit internally. We don't want to have a minimum loan amount that's it takes just as much work to administer $100,000 loan as $1 million loan, as everyone is aware, but we don't want to make any policy decisions that have a negative or an unintended consequence on smaller rural projects either. So that'll be one of the things that we'll discuss with the board in December. But yes, we're concerned a little bit about our capacity as well. And that's why in working through the timeline, Jason and I talked pretty strategically around the timeline for this and underwriting with the current LIHTC 9% cycle to make sure that we will have sufficient staff capacity to maintain doing both around that same time period. But it's going to be a challenge, I'm not going to lie.
So this is Nat, just a minute. So Cheryl, I'm Bruce or Jason and those that want to also weigh in. Is approving a slate of loans, which is I'm kind of more going that direction. Are there negatives to doing such a thing from your perspective?
I would say that Ms. Rice has brought up a good point just around this is a new program. And so, you know, I think the devil's advocate side is the board having them on a one-by-one approval basis, just giving the newness of the program. So I think that is a valid point. I think the work, whether or not it's individually or a slate, is basically probably the same on our end. It's just the matter of how many individual board memos we're putting together versus, one for a slate. But doing, a dozen or so Word documents is not a substantial, burden administratively on staff in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Do we have other board questions or comments? Well,
I'm sorry, go
I would
ahead.
agree with Sheila that at least initially we should go on a one-on-one deal, see a project, not do a slate. We need to get a feel for what this program's going to really do, which I'm sure is great things, but I still want to feel for it. And I think the other side, the other point, and Sheila made that as well, is that having the staff work with the developer so that we put what are our limited resources to the best practice possible is very important. So I think both of these, I think that's also, the staff needs to do that. I wish we had unlimited resources, but we do not. And therefore we need to put them to whatever best practice will amount to that we can. I think I interrupted Sheila.
No, I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay. Any other board comments or questions? Well, hearing none. Are there any public comments or questions at this point as well for Cheryl?
I do have just a little bit in the rental assistance dashboard. If we want to just go to that real quick. So you'll see here, last month, our paid units, meaning the number of units we have leased for a family with a voucher, was 3,462. Current month is now 3,777. That's an increase of 315. So we feel like we have turned a corner in issuing vouchers that are moving to lease up. I think since we'd started issuing vouchers in July, I think we've got over 60 that have been leased within the new process. And then we have, I think, about 30 that were pending. So we should be able to see 100 new vouchers from families just since we started the process. And then some of these other paid units can be, change of units or other circumstance changes. We worked on a collaborative letter with Montana NARO to thank our federal delegation for their support on a letter that was sent to Secretary Turner on the 15th of October. Those letters have gone out. The other thing to note on this dashboard is the EHV, or the Emergency Housing Voucher Program. This was vouchers that Montana received as part of the American Rescue Plan Act. We have now received direction from HUD to convert all of the leased up EHV households into a straight housing choice voucher. So we're working to make those transition adjustments. And so once that is complete, the EHV program will no longer be listed on the dashboard. We are also making progress with Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing. We had a local project here in Helena with 42 project-based VASH that we hadn't been leasing up due to some ongoing issues with lead-based paint. The owner has worked to mitigate under the repair painting method the paint on the exterior that had been deteriorating at most of the buildings, and provided a clearance letter from their third-party risk assessor. And we are now working to process new admissions to that Veterans Affairs Supportive Housing project for the first time in a couple of years. So it's been a long haul, but we're really pleased to be able to be working to house homeless veterans and their families at that site again. And I'd like to thank Rob Smith on our team in rental assistance for the number of inspections he's conducted and working to process those new admissions, as well as Joy Langstaff for her ongoing support, and Kelly Shields. I'll thank to our legal counsel as well. It's been a long haul with this project, and we're pleased that we're moving in a positive direction. The board will also continue to see a decrease on the moderate rehabilitation program. This is a legacy HUD program, and we have properties that are coming up to the end of their affordability and will be exiting. So that project, or that program, is decreasing over time. I'm happy to answer any other questions about the rental assistance programs as well.
Sure. Sorry.
Go
Bruce,
ahead, Sheila.
I jump ahead every time. I'm sorry. Cheryl, are the EHV then additive? So they don't take a voucher, they're added and just converted and increase the number of housing choice vouchers?
You know, that is a good question. If they're converted or if they're taking one of our existing vouchers. And I don't want to answer off the cuff because I'm not 100% positive, but I can provide that update at the next board meeting.
Great. I'm always trying to protect the number of vouchers we got out there, of course. And then my second question is, the state did a great job at converting some of the vouchers to project-based. And I just wondered if we were going to do another round of that, or how the staff is feeling about how that worked, and will we do it again?
I think, yes, we'll do it again. We had been looking and having conversations with the VA for a good part of this year. Out of the 275 tenant-based VASH vouchers we have, I think that's the right number. It might be 332. We had about 30 that were unutilized, 30 tenant-based VASH vouchers. And so we had some conversations with the VA about doing a request for proposals to project-base those 30-ish or so tenant-based veteran affairs vouchers. Since we've had those conversations, the latest is we have received 23 referrals from the VA for those 30 vouchers, and those homeless veteran and their families are now looking to apply their voucher at a private market rental unit. So that leaves us only about 9 vouchers left that aren't spoken for. We're continuing to have conversations with the VA, and they've met with a number of other providers around the state. But I think if we do have some wiggle room with maybe 10 or a dozen VASH vouchers, we would be looking at making a proposal in collaboration with the VA. We want the VA to identify geographically where those VASH vouchers are the most needed for the clients that they're serving, as well as what type of units or amenities, namely accessible units. They're really seeing a need for veteran site-based affordable housing for senior veterans and those with more complex medical needs, more geriatric needs. So we would be working in collaboration with the VA on doing that, but we're just kind of eyeing the number of referrals we've got right now and keeping those conversations going.
So outside of VASH, just for housing choice vouchers, I think we did a round of project-based. That's the one I was talking about. Are we going to do another one of those eventually?
Yes, eventually. We still have the one of the ones that we have awarded, we've signed the housing assistance payment contract on, and the other one's a new construction, the Hidden Creek down in Bozeman for 40 units. So I think we'll probably get through this calendar year and then look and see where we're at voucher utilization wise. But if we have some additional vouchers that we're not using, I'm completely willing and able with the team to do another request for proposals to project base. We just probably won't have the option of doing it at time of new construction. We found that to be rather administratively complicated, and it triggers Davis-Bacon and environmental and other things that if we just held to award vouchers until the project is placed in service, we don't have to go through all of those hoops to jump through.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, we don't want to trigger any additional requirements, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Puts the developer in the situation, though, of not knowing that they have project-based vouchers until after the construction is completed.
Yep, that is the case. And I think that is kind of the more typical operating procedures of most public housing authorities, is to wait to award vouchers until the project is complete. So we kind of did it a little unusual with the one project we did award for new construction, but it was a lot of work that my team that does not frankly have a lot of capacity to do going forward.
Thank you.
Do we have other board comments and or questions for Cheryl? Do we have any public comments and or questions for Cheryl?
Seeing none, Chair Posey.
That being the case, Cheryl, thank you very much. We appreciate it. That brings us to the end of this particular board meeting. I have a thank you, though. I'd like to thank the board for what they did in October, where I could not participate in the board meeting, at least as far as the LIHTC discussion. Sheila was over and above by virtue of being over in Japan and still conducting the meeting, as was Rachel by virtue of the situation that with her and her husband. So we have a full board today. That means a great deal to me. All the discussions that we have are based upon this board being here in these meetings. I thank you all for that. That all being said, and I also obviously always thank the staff because they have an enormous job to do. We have our next meeting come December the 8th, as I recall. But in the meantime, I wish everyone to have a wonderful Thanksgiving and holiday season, and we'll see you come December. This meeting stands adjourned.
Thank you all so
Thank you.
much. Have a happy
Thank you,
Thanksgiving.
everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Bruce.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you, guys.